if you can believe that. Although my parents did a fine job, I just think that, for example, my parents had a full liquor cabinet in the house at all times. It wasn't locked. I could have gone there any time and, partied with my friends, but I just had no interest in it.
Interesting.
Here's something else you and I have in common. We've both been on 60 Minutes.
Oh, really? What were you on for?
I was on when I was a student at UCSB. They came to film a class that I was in, a religious studies course on the war in Vietnam. And one of my instructors, one of the teachers that year, it's this enormously popular class taught by a guy named Walter Capps, who's passed away. He became a congressman, and his wife is still a congresswoman in his old seat from Santa Barbara. And let's see, the senator from Nebraska, Bob Kerry, was a instructor the year that I was there. He was a Navy SEAL in Vietnam. And so anyway, they were filming the course, and I stood up and asked a question. It's this giant 1,500-seat classroom called Campbell Hall, and they filmed me asking the question and the response from the instructors, and so I was on for about 9 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. You were
on for about 2 minutes.
You were on for a little longer. In fact, I watched that piece. It's linked from your website, and this sort of gets us into this other side of your life, which I'm curious as to what aspect it holds for you now. It's your relationship to the porn world. LukeFord.com, which was your original website, is now a porn site, but it was originally your gossip about the porn industry site. There's now LukeFord.net, which is your site, and then Luke is Back, which is also a porn site, which is attributed to you now as well. What's the story?
In 1995, I kept getting thrown out of different acting schools, and I decided I was more suited to solitary pursuits, so I decided I needed to publish a book. And so my first thought was to write a book on how to be a good person, and I wanted to develop some of Dennis Prager's ideas into a book. So I sent him a letter, and he replied negative. So I said, maybe I'll write a history of sex in film. And that's what I did. And in my arduous research, I was left with thousands of pages of notes. And so when I bought my own computer for the first time in July 1997, I immediately put up a website with my notes. And then people started giving me stories they were breaking, particularly an HIV outbreak in the porn industry. So I started doing regular news updates, and I said, I'm covering news, but I hear a lot of gossip too. Let's start melding some of these. And so I started finding out I could make a living by writing a daily update on the sex industry. And that led to many years, about 12 years all told, I think, writing about the sex industry.
Well, you also became very friendly with people who work in the sex industry. We should say these aren't necessarily streetwalkers. When you say the sex industry, you think of massage parlors, and we're talking about pornography, specifically video, right?
Right.
And how close did you become to that world and those people? And why are you laughing?
Well, I did. I'm laughing because I did make. I did direct one porn movie.
Oh, really?
January of 1996, I directed a porn movie called What Women Want. This was 3 years before the Mel Gibson film of the same name. So I think they ripped off my title.
Wow,
so my story was somewhat different than
it's
his
usually
story.
The other way around, isn't it? That they take mainstream hit movies and then they they in a perverse way change the words and make it into a porn flick.
Yeah, Shaving Ryan's Private.
Exactly, yes, right.
Well, this one is the other way around. So I recruited Kimberly Cummings and 5 guys into a little room on like Hollywood and Vine and shot this classic porn movie. But once a philosopher, Marc, twice a pervert. I only did this once, so I only did it for philosophical reasons.
Is it good?
No, it's horrible. It's the worst porn movie you've ever seen.
Were you good as a director?
No, I totally sucked. But it was an experience. It gave me, a deeper appreciation for my subject.
How did you feel doing it?
I felt scared to death and a little excited, and I mean, I got to confess, it was like the greatest feeling to be able to, tell a woman to go, do certain things with, those guys over there. It's like it's such tremendous power to like tell people to have sex with each other. It's like, wow.
And the movie's still available, I assume?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Do you think, had you stuck with it, that you could have been a great porn director, or maybe even
No.
a
I
mainstream?
only had the intention to
Do
shoot
it
the
once.
very one.
And for what company was this?
Sunshine Factory Home Video, aka Sunshine Home Video. It's where Seymour Butts also got his start. So.
And what's the budget for? What was the budget for this movie? Do you know?
$4,000.
And that's a lot or a little by porn standards?
That's a little.
That's a little. And that basically was just the money to pay the actors, and
yeah.
And was it a one camera shoot? Did you hold the camera?
Yes.
So you
one camera shoot. I held the camera for much of the time, though I did have a cameraman there as well.
So it gave you a sense of power, but you didn't want to do it again because it also made you feel dirty. What?
Yeah, it was just way too much of a contradiction with my professed ideals. So it was fun to do it once, but once a philosopher, twice a pervert.
All right. And do you still watch porno?
Very rarely. So that was like when I did the book, I had to watch like 100 or so porn films, so that I was writing a history of sex and film, so I had to watch a lot of movies, but after a while it starts to wear on you.
Well, the 60 Minutes sort of used you as a kind of field expert, and you took them on the set of, it's not a set, it's an outdoor, it's like a bunch of little stages, I guess. How would you describe where you were taking them? Yeah,
it was Ron Vogel's set. Ron Vogel was a still photographer in the industry for about 40 years, and so he had a house there in the valley. They were just looking for a set because they just wanted this type of video of me walking around the set with Steve Kraft, and so I just walked them around some guy's backyard.
Well, I also know how 60 Minutes operates, which is they take hours and hours and hours of footage and they distilled it down to 2 minutes. And my guess is that they asked you a lot of questions and you made a lot of statements, and ultimately what comes off is you saying that people, especially women, in the porn industry generally are in for one film. They do it because it's a quick buck, and it's usually so damaging to their psyche that they quit after one film. I have a feeling you had a lot more to say than just that. What
I talked to them for like 40 hours or 50 hours before they started shooting, and then the shoot was like several hours. So.
And do you think that was a fair way to distill what it was that you were trying to impart?
It was fine. Like I don't, I was saying a lot of things, and they took that one as, I don't have a strong feeling one way or another.
You don't have a strong feeling that they mischaracterized what you were saying, or you don't have a strong feeling about the 40 hours of interview?
I knew I knew how they work, or how any TV news works.
Right.
They take an odd sentence, and they'll talk to you for an hour, and they'll take 3 sentences. So I have a certain resignation when it comes to when I talk to other journalists, that it becomes their story, it's not my story, and they will take, and sometimes I feel like they distort, or sometimes I think they'll take it out of context, but I kind of let it go. I just do it because I enjoy talking to people who are smart, and they were certainly a smart group of people.
But if you would leave after talking to them for 40 hours, would you want what they put to be the thing that...
No.
I didn't think so. No. I had a feeling that wasn't the case. I don't know why I'm spending so much time dwelling on it, but I have a feeling that you wouldn't have been so involved in the industry for the period of time that you did if you thought it was all bad. And the way the quote that is on 60 Minutes of you makes it sound like this is a terrible, terrible thing and it should be stopped. And I don't think that's what you believe.
Right, no.